Hello everyone, this is the third grade enhanced math week 10 quadrilateral area solution video. The area of a rectangle equals to the width times its length. So for example, if the length is 3 and the length is 2, that would just be 3 times 2 equals to 6, and that would be the area of this rectangle. Note that if both width and length are whole numbers, the area of the total number of unit squares 1 times 1 contains within it. For example, the following 2 times 4 rectangle contains 2 times 4 equals to 8 unit squares. So for example, 4 can be broken down into 4 ones, and each one can be made into a 1 by 1 square with 2 rows of 4. So the area of a square equals to the square of its side length. Unit of areas, depending on the unit of side length, the areas of rectangles can be measured in square millimeters, square centimeters, square inches, square feet, square yards, square meters, square kilometers, square miles, and so forth. For example, the area of a rectangle with length 4 centimeters and 2 centimeters is 8 centimeters squared. The floor area of the White House is around 55,000 feet squared. The land area of the USA is around 9.83 million miles squared. Let's move on to problem 1, knowing that information. Alice made a photo frame of size 6 inches by 10 inches. Find the area of the frame. So the area of the frame, that would just be 6 by 10. So 6 times 10 would be the formula of solving this. That is just 60 inches squared. So let me write this using words. So 60 inches squared. Okay, and that is problem 1. Problem 2. What is the area of a square of perimeter 24 centimeters? What is the area of a square? Basically, this square has a perimeter of 24 centimeters, and since we learned that a square has the same side lengths on all 4 sides, we can just do the perimeter of the whole thing divided by 4 equals to 6 on each side. So 6 centimeters on each side. 6, 6, and 6. So the area would just be 6 times 6 equals to 36 centimeters squared. Problem 3. William uses a 24 inches long iron wire to form a rectangle with width of 5 inches. What is the area of this rectangle? William uses a 24-inch long wire to form a rectangle with width of 5 inches. So if the width is 5 inches, so this would just be the width, 5 inches, that means that the width is 5 inches on both sides. So that equates 10. And then he uses 24 inches long, so 24 minus 10 equals to 14. And we still need to do the length. So the length being equal on both sides as well, so 14 divided by 2 equals to 7. We get that the length is 7. So the area of this rectangle would just be 5 times 7 equals to 35 inches squared. Problem 4. Cut the largest square from a piece of 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters rectangle paper. What are the perimeter and area of the remaining part? Again, we have a rectangle, this time with 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters rectangle. And since we can't expand the 8 centimeters anymore, we just shrink the 10 centimeter length by 2. So now we have an 8 centimeter length. So what is the perimeter and area of the remaining part? The remaining part would not be 8 by 8, so we cross this out. And then this part we need to solve. 10 minus 8 equals to 2, so the 2 in the blue would just be the length of the remaining part, and the 8 just carries over to the width of the remaining part as well. So 8 also goes to the other side of this remaining part while the 2 gets dragged down as well. 8 times 2 equals to 16, and 2 times 2 equals to 4. We can just do 16 plus 4 equals to 20. So the perimeter of this remaining area is 20, so we just write 20 equals to perimeter. Whereas the area is just 8 times 2, which is 16. So area. This is how you do it. Problem 5. 3 identical squares form rectangles WXYZ as shown. The perimeter of WXYZ is 56 meters. The area of WXYZ is. So we see that the perimeter of this figure is 56 meters. So, and it says 3 identical squares, which means that it is basically the same side length for each side. We can represent one side as X, so the yellow would just be X. And as you can see, since these are all the same, we can just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 X's. So 8x's equals to 56 meters. So each x would just be 7 meters. Therefore, each one would just be 7. And then the top would just be 7 times 3 equals to 21. And then this rectangle would just be a 21 by 7 rectangle. And then the 7 by 21 rectangle, you just multiply 7 by 21 and you get 147. So 147 meters squared is your answer. Problem 6. How many different rectangles can be formed by using 16 identical sticks of length 1? What are the largest and least areas of those rectangles? Since the perimeter of those rectangles is 16, all possible arrangements of width times length are listed below. 1 by 7, 2 by 6, 3 by 5, and 4 by 4. Note that a square is a special rectangle, so the largest area is the square 4 by 4 equals to 16. And the least area would just be 1 by 7 equals to 7. So here's a fact that among all rectangles that have the same perimeter, the square has the largest area. So that's just a little fact to know in case you run into a problem like this again. This one would just be the largest area, 4 by 4 equals to 16, largest. Whereas the smallest would be the 1 by 7, which is 7 smallest. And there you go. Problem 7. 3 identical rectangles are put together to form rectangle ABCD as shown in the figure below. Given that the length of the shorter side of each of the smaller rectangles is 5 feet, what is the area in square feet of rectangle A, B, C, and D? The width and length of the big rectangle, let's find that out, is we see here that the shorter side of each of the smaller rectangles is 5 feet. So 5 feet, 5 feet. And then this equates to the longer side of the rectangle. Since 5 plus 5, that just moves over to the right side. So this gives us 10. So 10 is the length of the rectangle, while 5 is the width. So then what is the area in square feet of rectangle ABCD? Well, we know that we can just put 5 in yellow here since 5 is already given, plus the 10 that we found out. So 10 plus 5 equals to 15. We can just do 15 times 10 because 10 comes from the 5 plus 5 that was given to us. So 15 times 10 equals to 150. That is the area in square feet of rectangle ABCD. So there is your answer. Problem 8. A large square contains 2 small squares with areas 25 square centimeters and 4 square centimeters. What is the perimeter in centimeters of the shaded area? You have the area of 25 square centimeters and 4 square centimeters. So obviously we know that the larger one is the area with the 25 square centimeters. So the square has the same side lengths on every side. Therefore, you just do 5 and 5 because 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 by 5. And then the smaller one is obviously the one with the 4 square centimeters, so it's 2 by 2. Then let's move on to the base. We know that the base at the bottom of the shaded area is the same as the line on the top. And since the line at the top is just 5 plus 2 equals to 7, we know that the length at the bottom is 7. And then if the length at the bottom is 7, we also know that this is the same as the lines in yellow connected, because let's draw out the lines in yellow. This line in yellow plus this side in yellow is 7, because if you drag the longer side in yellow to the top and to match up with the line shorter in yellow, this creates 7. Therefore, these 2 yellow lines add together are 7. So these together are 7. So far we have 7 plus 7. And then we see here on the right that since this is a square, the large square has side length 7. Therefore, we just encompass all this into 7. And then we're trying to figure out the length on the right of the shaded area. So all we have to do is 7 minus 2 equals to 5. So this is 5. So we add on another 5. And then we move on to the left side. The left side, the short little stem on the shaded area, it's again 7 minus 5 equals to 2 because the side length is 7 as well. So we add 2. And then finally in blue, we see here that the line in blue, hold on, let me take this to the bottom. This would just be 7 minus 2 minus 2 again, because as you see here on the top, there is a 2 on the top right side, and then there is a 2 at the bottom left side as well. So therefore that's 7 minus 2 equals to 3. Therefore, once you add all this together, you get 24. So the perimeter in centimeters of the shaded area is 24. Moving on to problem 9. The figure below shows a large rectangle with a small rectangle cut out of it. Find the area of this figure. We see here that if we were to make this large square back together, imagine that this figure wasn't cut, this rectangle wasn't cut, then it would just be a 7 by 7 rectangle because 7 on both sides. So then the area of that would be 7 times 7 equals to 49. And that would be the area of large square. But then we see here that a small rectangle is cut out of it. But this rectangle, we see here that it is a 3 by 3. So 3 by 3, we know that 3 by 3 equals to 9. And that is the area of small rectangle, which is also a square. So let's just write area of small square. So that if we were to find the area of this figure, all we have to do is subtract the area of small square from the big square. So 49 minus 9 equals to 40. So the area of the figure in blue is 40. Finally, problem 10. The shaded region formed by the two intersecting perpendicular rectangles in square units is... So we see here that the line in blue, this is 8. If this is 8, then that means that the line in blue, let's just mark the dotted line in blue, this would also be 8 because you can just drag the length 8 to the left. This is 8. We can subtract the 2 from the 8 as well. We see here that outlined in red is a 2 by 10 rectangle because the length is 2 while the width is 10. So 2 by 10 is just equal to 20. So that is a area 20 that we can add on later. And then as you can see here in green, this is a 3 by 8 rectangle because again, as we see here in the blue dotted line, you can just move the 8 to the length of this rectangle in green. So that is just a 3 by 8, which is, let me just write 3 by 8. 3 times 8 equals to 24. So you just add another 24 here. But then you see here that there's an overlap. There is an overlap here, and we need to find out what the area of that is. And quickly, we just figure out that it is just 2 by 3. So this area, let me draw it in blue. This is just a 2 by 3 rectangle. So 2 by 3, that it just gives us 6. We need to subtract 6 from 20 plus 24. 20 plus 24 is 44, but you subtract 6 equals to 38. Therefore, the shaded region formed by the perpendicular rectangles overlapped in square units is 38 square units.